go. Got it started. Josh Tomlin, my brother.
What's up, Jason?
Dude. All right, so like I said, this time we're just going to keep this casual.
Yep.
And you know what's cool is the last time you were on the Jason Wright show, well, actually, it was the Texas Titan podcast back then.
Oh, yeah.
You were one of my first guests, my first professional athlete, and now you are a World freaking Series champion.
How cool is that?
Yeah, so it's like, so what'd you do today,
We may
Jason?
have to we have to do this more often if that brings that kind of luck, right?
Why not? Why not? Because I'm going to take full credit because you were an almost World Series champion last time. Now you're an official World Series champion, and this is the first time I've ever been in the same room with a World Series trophy as well as a World Series champion. So I'm going to see how many times I can say World Series champion throughout this.
You can't say it enough for me. You can't say it enough for me at all, I promise you. Well, it's a cool experience, no doubt about it.
Well, all right, so tell me about the difference between this Braves team and the other team that almost got there, because that was a very special team that you were on that was a rain, as you said before, a rain delay away.
Yeah, 15 minutes away from ending a curse. Yeah. Right? Or from actually that helped end the Cubs curse.
Yeah.
But this team was built, the team I was on with the Braves that just won that trophy right there, is built off, bigger payroll, a lot more talented players than we had in 16 with the Indians.
Right.
I say more talented players. They were the more well-known players. We also had guys like Max Fried kind of coming into their own a little bit the past couple of years for the Braves that, kind of put us on his back and carried us a little bit. We had a lot of injuries on both teams. A lot of huge injuries, actually. Michael Brantley in 16 and Ronald Acuna, or Michael Brantley with the Indians and Ronald Acuna with the Braves this year. But they both have pretty good similarities in the aspect of we all felt like we were blue-collar players trying to play for one goal, and we were all pulling in the same direction. The team in 16, when we were constructing that team, I say we were constructing that team, when the ownership constructed that team, on paper, you looked at the names, they weren't established yet. And then you had a couple of veteran guys like myself, Michael Brantley, Mike Napoli, Jan Gomes that were, had established themselves in the league, but, weren't the big name all-stars that, other teams have had in the past. Mike Napoli came over, and watching how he went about his business every day, day in and day out, was one of the more incredible things I've seen out of a big leaguer in a long time. Him and, he just went about he was on the bench every day at 6 o'clock watching and I asked him one time, I said, what are you doing out here at 6 o'clock? He said, we'd get through playing cribbage in Tito's office and he'd go out to the field. I said, what are you doing? He's like, I like to watch the stands wake up. I like to watch the stadium come to life. It's one of the more cool things I do in baseball. So I started doing it with him, and it was neat. It was neat to watch his whole routine. He'd come out there and just watch, and then go out there, do his little sprints, come back in. And before you know it, you had 6 or 7 position guys out there doing the same thing. And it wasn't anything that, was necessary. It had to be done, but you just saw like a glimpse of, the Lindors, the Jose Ramirez's of the world, the younger guys that end up being perennial all-stars and faces of the Cleveland Indians at the time, go out there with him, and they just started watching. And it wasn't that, they were going out there and doing extra stuff. It was just their mind was more focused on what the task was at hand that night, as opposed to being in the locker room, checking your phone, things like that. It was, they were outside. They were in the elements. They were watching the fans. They were watching the field wake up, watching the stadium wake up. And then their whole brain was just more focused on that. And that was that whole team's kind of MO, was what can we do today to beat you by 1 run? That was it. That's all we cared about. And we ended up winning, I think, 14 in a row that year, 22 in a row the next year. It was just, that team just had this love for each other that it's hard to explain, because we weren't the most talented group, but as a unit, it was probably one of the more special teams I've ever played on my entire life. Going all the way back to T-ball, won a few state championships in T-ball, all the way up to this, was that unit was just, the guys meshed well. They gelled well. We wanted to play cards together. After each game on the road or at home, we'd go to somebody's house, or we'd go to the hotel room and play cards and hang out, talk about the game, things like that. It was just a group of guys that all pulled in the same direction at the same time at all times. And guy got in trouble, guy had injuries, the next guy would come up and step up, and it was just a pure joy to be a part of both teams, actually.
What do you think the secret is? Because, I mean, a lot of people, they hear that. And there's so many sports analogies, right? Business people are constantly looking to sports teams to try to optimize their teams and build a successful organization. And when you're dealing with a bunch of millionaires at the best of what they do, getting to play a game that they've played since they were children, there's so many dynamics there that you have to work. Josh, what is it that brings a team, a unit together like that so that the collective unit is so able to perform? Is it just that chemistry that just happened to be there, or was the chemistry something that you guys deliberately built? Because I know you took on a leadership role with that team that we talked last time whenever I was over here hanging out that I did not know. And so did it start in the clubhouse, and how did you develop
think it does.
Okay.
I think it does. I think it starts with high character guys for one. And those high character guys having the right mindset of checking your ego at the door. It's not about the name on the back of your jersey, it's about the name on the front of your jersey, and it's about culture, right? What kind of culture are you trying to preach? What kind of culture are you trying to build? And it doesn't happen overnight. I can remember me and Michael Brantley basically went to our manager's office, Terry Francona, and we were going through a rebuilding stage from 10, 11, 12. I say rebuilding stage. We were just not good, period. We weren't good. We were losing games, 500 record at best. They hired Terry Francona. Year or two goes by. I'm on the injury list, all 13 from a UCL surgery. Come back in the next year, and he basically asked me and Brantley to take control of the clubhouse, to figure it out, to basically get everybody to have the same mindset as what we were having of we want to win, period. However it takes, whatever it costs, we want to win. Within measure, obviously. So we started. You kind of start seeing the culture change, right? We weren't necessarily, when I first got called to the big leagues, I was told never to sit on a leather couch. And still this day, I've never sat on a leather couch in a clubhouse, just for the simple respect of what a veteran told me not to do. We weren't the same type of veterans when this was going on. We wanted to welcome those young guys in as quickly as we could to try to get the best out of them as immediately as we could. And it was check your ego at the door. Like you put your pants on the same way we put ours on, same way the other team puts theirs on. It's not about who you are. It's not about Michael Brantley, Josh Tomlin, Mike Napoli, Lindor, John. It wasn't about these guys. It wasn't about them. It was about the Cleveland Indians and what we wanted to achieve. You want to achieve true immortality in baseball, you have to go win one of those. And if you don't go win one of those, you will be forgotten unless you're just a Hall of Fame player like like the guys that are in the Hall of Fame. Like they don't lose their name because of where they're at. Right. Same thing here. But the most talented teams I've ever seen on a baseball field don't make it very far whenever you get a bunch of guys that are, high-paid athletes, high-paid guys that are superstars, that you try to build a whole team full of those. You start losing that edge of trying to compete, trying to win, and that was what we were trying to accomplish. We didn't want all the big name guys to go out and buy, go out and try to get $150, $200 million guys. It was, give me the grinder over there that worked his ass off in the minor leagues for 2 or 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is, but knows how to win, knows how to compete. That was the biggest word that we probably preached to ourselves nonstop that year was, we're going to compete. We may not be the best team on paper against you, but I can promise you, go ask any team that played us in 2016, they would tell you they were hell. Yeah. We were feisty. We ran the bases well. We took extra bases. We made outs on the bases, trying to take extra bases, being aggressive. We gave up our fair share of home runs being aggressive in the zone, but we were going to make them earn it. We weren't going to walk a lot of guys. And I think that year or the next year after that, we actually set a single-season WAR record for our starting staff, pitching staff in all of baseball. And it wasn't that we had the best stuff, anything like that. It was we wanted the biggest stage. We wanted the best teams. We wanted the very, very best at all times, so that when we got to where we were getting to, it was nothing. It was just like, okay, we get to wake up and go play a game today. Yeah. The World Series games were nothing to us at that time compared to the years prior to that. We'd never been to a playoff game at all. And then, you're just trying to stay afloat and try to make some money, or trying to just establish yourself in the big leagues. It wasn't like that anymore. It was, we developed a culture. We started a culture in there that our job is to compete day in and day out and see what happens at the end of the year.
And all right, so you said a lot of things in there, and as you know, like I'm actually putting a course together right now, and one of the things that I talk about a lot is a growth mindset. And you just basically described, a team. How you put together a team with a growth mindset is pretty amazing. And you didn't even know what the hell growth mindset was.
I did not. Yeah, you did not until you said that the other day. Yeah.
And then, but you had a performance coach, which, by the way, is interesting. The way baseball has changed now. You've told me some of the behind the scenes stuff that you guys, the neurological aspect of baseball, and just the it's so data driven now, but also. So for the listener, just so that, and if you're watching on YouTube, the whole concept of a growth mindset was really pioneered by a professor at Stanford named Carol Dweck, who basically said that you've got two types of mindsets. You've got a fixed mindset and you've got a growth mindset. Now, I am a recovering fixed mindset. When I was young, Josh, here's what's funny. Okay, so all of the athletic ability that you were lacking, I had.
Right.
Dude, I was the fastest runner, had an arm. I can still to this day at 47 jump higher than most people, but I didn't have a growth mindset. I was so good with just natural athletic ability that it hampered me. It held me back. And here's the story I love to tell. Whenever I was in 7th grade, it's whenever we played football for the first time, organized football, and everybody wants to be the quarterback at that age, right? Unless you've got a fixed mindset. I wouldn't play quarterback because I thought everybody wants to be quarterback. And if everybody wants to be quarterback, then that means I can't be quarterback. And by the way, I'm supposed to be really good. I've always been good at whatever. What if I'm not good enough? So I'll just play fullback because I can use my speed and my size at that time. A guy like you, just like you described that team, will be like, hell yeah. I will be. I don't care what my talent is, what my athletic. I will get there. And a great example of that is Tom Brady, right?
No doubt.
Didn't have the athletic ability. So all that to say, talk a little bit about, and I'm probably going to use this. I want to use this clip because it's not very often that you have a freaking Major League Baseball player with you, with a World Series trophy behind you. I'm probably going to use this in my course. So for any of you that end up taking the 6-week Vitruvian Challenge, you may see this again. But kind of talk about what, now that you kind of understand a growth mindset, what it's meant to you and how you have faced those challenges of, your Tommy John injury, you're just not all of a sudden getting moved saying you're only going to pitch and you had never just been a pitcher. There's so many points in your career where you had to have that mindset of, okay. And then I love, and I'm going to use this in a book, in your book or something, fine, give me the damn ball.
Give me the damn ball.
I freaking love it. And that might be what we name your book, Give Me the Damn Ball. But just talk about how you, now that you understand that you are a possessor of an incredible mindset, how it has influenced your career as an athlete.
See, as of a couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't have been able to answer that question because I didn't know what a growth mindset, fixed mindset was or anything like that. I just always knew I was the smallest, usually the smallest person on the team. Not the most talented person on the team by any means, still not. And I threw slower than everybody else, probably my entire life. So I understood at that point, I guess I started not understanding the growth mindset aspect of this, but I understood what I had to think in my head to make me a better player overall. And what I did was I started thinking, okay, if I can't throw 100 miles an hour, or at the time 94 miles an hour, then I better be able to hold runners well. I better be able to fill my position well, and I better be able to, make the routine plays at all times. May not be able to make all the spectacular plays at shortstop position, whatever position I was playing at the time, but I knew I had to do all the little things correctly and do them a lot better than everybody else, because if I didn't, I was going to be overlooked. But like what you said about the quarterback aspect, for me, when I see something like that, the first thought in my mind was, I hope everybody goes out for it. I want to see how I stack up. It's not that I think I'm better than them. I just want to see how much do I have to work to be better than that guy. That's what I want to know. I want to see that guy work. I want to see what he does, because if I feel like I see him and I think, okay, my talent's not quite to where he is, but he's lazy, I can eventually take that job, or I can eventually help him to be a better quarterback. Like, that's the kind of stuff that goes through my head. And it's probably hindered my career a tad bit in the aspect of having better numbers. But if I see somebody that comes in, a younger player, for instance, so there's multiple people that have had to come up to the big leagues and not shadow me because I'm a good player by any means, but shadow me because I like to work. I like to study. I like to understand the game better. I like to understand human beings better. And they would say, shadow me. So I would walk around and they would do everything that I would do or talk to me about, what my game plan for that week was or anything like that. But so my thought process when I see something like that, like the quarterback situation, if I see that, I think if I can make that guy better, it makes our receivers better. Our receivers make our defense better because we're on the field more. The offense is on the field more. Our defense is resting more. I see a whole picture for an organization. And I think that's because I've been in sports my entire life. I'm 37 years old. I've been playing baseball, football, basketball since I was 3. Only thing I've ever known in my life, right? At some point, now I'm not really sure when it happened, probably high school, junior college, or maybe in the minor leagues, I started thinking to myself, like, and I've seen it. The most talented people are not always the best people to put on a team,
right? Because
they can cancer a team. They could bring 24 guys down. At the time, we had 25 players in the big leagues, but or on a baseball team. But my thing was, if I can be the one that brings 24 guys up to a level that I'm not at, but I know they're capable of getting to, then that makes our whole entire team better.
Right.
And the whole mindset of being on a team sport is to what? Is to win. Right. It's not about what can Josh Tomlin do to make Josh Tomlin better. Yes, I'm going to try to make myself better, but better to help that team. It's not about better so I'm the best pitcher on this team. I'm the best player on this team. That's never been the thought processes. And don't get me wrong, there's a load of those thought processes going around in professional sports, all around professional sports, not just baseball. But the thing about team sports, and I think Kobe Bryant said it one time, or somebody, Magic Johnson, or I can't remember who it was, but they were saying if you want to be an individual player, if you want to do things on your own, be a ball hog or not, try to bring your guys up, go play tennis or go play golf or go play a sport that doesn't require a team.
Right.
Because that's the truth. If you put on a jersey for an organization or for any kind of sports organization, or even like me and you starting this little podcast thing, like I want to do everything I can to help Jason Wright be the best Jason Wright, right? Improve always, in always, right? It's like
I didn't even ask him to say that.
No, you didn't. And I don't think you've ever even told me that, but I just see it on your podcast and stuff. But that to me is what the mindset, a growth mindset. When you explain that to me, that's what a growth mindset means to me. Is how can I do better for myself to make the team better, or what am I lacking to make myself better to help the team, right? Or and I told you this the other day, like there's in the minor leagues, right? There's guys that get drafted in the first round, they get a load of money, usually. I wasn't that guy. I was drafted in the first round, but on the second day, the 19th round. This is back when they had 50 rounds, I think. But so a few years in the minor leagues, I'm watching this go down, and some of our top prospects and guys they invest a lot of money in wouldn't play on a SpongeBob SquarePants day. In the minor leagues, you play games at 10:30 sometimes for schools, and what they do is they bring all the kids over there and they play SpongeBob SquarePants from 10:30 in the morning until the game is over with. And you see a lot of these organizations, and it's not just the Indians that do it or the Guardians, whatever you want to call them, but you'll see their first rounder or their high level prospect guy not play. Never really thought much of it at the time, but the higher up I got in the minor leagues, I started noticing this, and I said, I understand why they're doing that now, because they have this stuff invested in them. So they'll tell a guy, like, hey, you're not going to throw today, 10:30 game, push back. So that goes on enough, and I see that. I'm like, just like we said, just give me the damn ball, I'll go pitch. Whether it's, a good one, bad one, indifferent, rain and snow, who cares? Somebody's got to pitch. Somebody's got to play these games. And then the higher up I went, when I finally got to big leagues, I asked that question. I said, why are you doing that? It's a disservice to them. It's a disservice to the players, the teammates that they're in. You're not building the culture you represent in the big leagues if you can't start it at the minor league level. Right. And starting that at the minor level is holding everybody to the same standard. It's not about, okay, Josh Tomlin was drafted in the first round, Jason Wright was drafted in the 50th. Who cares?
Right.
Now they're all in the same area. They're all in the same arena now, right? In that arena, we're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to compete to try to do what? Win, period. I get the minor leagues is all about developing and all that kind of stuff. But if you watch what happened in the minor leagues when I was there, we won. We won. We got to the big leagues 2-3 years after that, we started winning.
Yeah.
And we had one of the best records in baseball from 2013 to 2018 in all of baseball for that whole year. And it wasn't just because we got a new manager. I mean, all the coaches stayed the same. Few new faces from free agency and things like that. But it was the core group of guys that we had in the minor leagues that came up together that stayed in Cleveland. We figured out how to win. Yeah. And we figured out how to win there too. We figured out how to win in the big leagues. So it was that slow progression, but it was also the same aspect of we finally had developed a culture that everybody bought into. And once everybody's buying into the same culture, no, it doesn't matter if it's, the Michael Brantley, the best player on our team, to the guy that just got drafted out of the Dominican Summer League that has, never been in America before, but he's over here at 17 years old doing everything he can to try to reach the same goal. He's held the same standard in our eyes at that time. He was held to the same exact standards we were held to. Yeah. And he demanded the same exact. We demanded that he get the same exact respect that we got. Yeah. That's all there was to it. Because at the end of the day, that's what it takes to build a true culture from the bottom to the top. And if you don't have that, when you get to the big leagues, when you're expected to show that culture, to live that culture, you can't. It's hard to. Right. You have to relearn it. Right. And that wasn't what we wanted to do. We wanted to build a full culture from the ground up, and I thought we did a pretty good job of it, to be honest with you.
There's so many things that you said there that are just...
I can get rambling. I'm sorry.
No, there's just so much wisdom in that, Josh, that, okay, first of all, you got guys like Simon Sinek who are making millions of dollars preaching culture in companies, and culture is what will sustain. Culture will overcome money problems. And especially right now, you're dealing with, in the business world, organizations are finding that, and all the research has shown that in business, money is not the carrot everybody thought it was. It is culture and purpose that really, and that's what you've described. Another thing that's interesting that you mentioned, because here's one of the things that sets you apart from a lot of other athletes. You've been at this now over a decade in the majors. Yeah. All in, 14 years between minor and pros? Something like that?
16, 17 seasons, 15, 16 years.
Dude, and an injury, okay, that you overcame. So here's why I make that point. So I believe it was Carol Dweck in her book, Mindset, that brought up the difference between... No. Excuse me. It was Jim Lair and Tony Schwartz who wrote the book, The Power of Focus. It's something like that. So forgive me for not having the exact title right.
I may have it in here somewhere.
It's fantastic because Jim Lair, that's where he made his name, was basically a high performance coach as far as teaching mindset and focus. And he started with tennis players. And he tried to figure out, his whole deal was managing energy. He said it's all about and that's what this book is about. It's about it's not about managing time. Time management is not the problem. It's managing your energy so that you have the most energy at the right time to execute, right? Right. Like for you to go out on the mound and know that, all right, I'm at my peak right now, so I've done all the things outside of this to be ready for this. Well, you've spent almost, now you're on 2 decades in baseball, which is a rarity to be in the bigs for 10. Jimmy Connors versus John McEnroe, both played at the same time. McEnroe, who was said to have had more of a fixed mindset, not to harp on this so much, but it's just kind of fun to actually sit down here with a real case study, a real life version of the poster child for the growth mindset. He played till he was 36. The intensity, because he defined himself all by how the wins and losses made John McEnroe look. Right. And in Jim Lair's book, he said Jimmy Connors, on the other hand, who started out very much like McEnroe, those two were incredibly competitive, both had tempers, but Connors learned to relax and enjoy the sport. And even if he lost, he could at least have fun being a number 1 ranked tennis player, whereas McEnroe, everything was about, if I lose, then John McEnroe's a loser, and and that's how. And so it's the same thing with what you said, is that it wasn't just about Josh Tomlin, and your personal performance, the walks, or which you hardly had any
more
walks,
home runs than walks. Yeah.
So it wasn't about walks, hits. It was about what was Josh Tomlin doing to contribute to the team's effort. And that's another thing, and I just bring that up just so that people that are to understand this whole idea of a growth versus fixed mindset. A fixed mindset will judge. They believe themselves to be a failure just because of a loss, as opposed to didn't quite do well enough today, but how did it impact the overall picture? And another thing you said that's interesting about fixed versus growth mindset people, and I didn't set you up for any of this, which is why I'm a geek. I read this stuff, I study it, and then to hear somebody just repeat the real life version of it, it's like, oh, that's cool. So a growth mindset individual will game everything. They will turn things into a game. Like in research, if you take two young people, one that has been told their whole life, you're brilliant, you're smart, then they get put at the gifted and talented table, so now they're smart, so they've been treated differently. As they get older, they will hit some point where if you put that person into a room with Josh Tomlin and you try to get them to compete on a certain deal, the one that was the gifted and talented, has always been told that they were smart, that has always been at the smart table, they will choose the easiest task they can find so as not to disrupt the image that they are smart. Whereas Josh Tomlin will go and say, give me the hard one. That might be fun. Yeah. And if I fail, oh, crap, let me do it again.
Yeah.
The other, if they do get the hard one and they fail, will be like, oh, my God, I'm not smart anymore. What happened? My whole image of myself has been shattered. So that's just how you describe that whole thing, dude.
That's competing, though, right? Isn't that the whole mindset of competing? And the growth mindset, the fixed mindset, like I've never understood, and I may have got this all wrong. I may have been a fixed mindset at some point in my life. I don't know how I would be.
I don't think so, dude.
I just, honest to God, think that the most fun thing to do in sports is a competition aspect of it. And you can ask anybody that's ever played with me, if any teammate of mine, if you show me something, if you show me a game, you give me a chance to learn it, I will tell them I will beat your ass in it next time we play. And it's not that I know I'm going to do it. I just want that. I want to make myself, I'm hyping myself up to go, let's play. And then once we do play, I'm going to do everything I can to beat you. And I hope you do the same to me, because that to me is where you grow. That's where teams grow. That's where businesses grow. And it's not competing to try to make you feel like you're a failure. It's competing to try to get you on a different level of that you've never even known you've had, maybe.
Awesome.
And that's the whole aspect of it, is like, hey, cards, let's go. Let's play. I want to beat you. I'm going to do everything in my power to beat you. I can't tell you how many card tables have been flipped in front of my lap, or I flipped them, or just a whole and I think that's where baseball is a little bit different, because we spend every waking moment with each other.
Yeah.
From the time we wake up, we go to the field, to the time we go home. We know our teammates better than we know our family half the time, and that's not an exaggeration by any means.
Yeah.
But I think I told you this the other day. If you really wanted to fix all the world's problems, put all the leaders in the world, put them in a Major League Baseball clubhouse and watch them work.
Yeah.
Just watch.
Yeah.
Don't talk. Don't do anything. Just watch.
Yeah.
Because nobody's getting sensitive about stuff. Nobody's canceling anybody. Nobody's shutting anybody out. Nobody's putting anybody on an island. If you're doing something that nobody agrees with, they go up and talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Discreetly talk to you about it, then you walk away. That to me is what a family, what a culture, what that is actually built off of, or what wins are built off of. It's the whole mindset of, hey, I see Michael Brantler, I see this guy over here screwing up late at night. I'm going to go talk to him.
Yeah.
And we go there and have a conversation about it. Hey, Mac, you are not putting yourself in the best possible situation to be successful. And Michael Brantley's not doing anything wrong with that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if that's what was going on, you go have that conversation with somebody discreetly, try to nip in the bud, and then you move forward.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we did in baseball. And that's what baseball has to do, because you do spend so much freaking time with each other. It's nonstop.
Yeah. And I think that I got to believe that just building the trust, and that's why I see these pro athletes that now that they take their big stand for whatever cause, whatever the issue is of the day. And in my opinion, for whatever it's worth, kind of what you're saying is that it's not that they're wrong for doing that. I mean, they should, hey, I've got a platform, but just to be mindful of what that can do, because you're basically dragging all these other guys, all your teammates into your issue. because the media and the way the world works, everybody, do you agree with LeBron?
Right.
Do you agree with what,
right.
whoever said? And it's really maddening. And yeah, I got to believe in the clubhouse. And that's one of the things I thought was really cool that you told me a while back, because, one day I hope to see you coaching a professional baseball team, is that you enjoy being in the clubhouse because there is that we can still be real with each other.
Right.
It's not about, again, my feelings are not more important than this team's success.
Absolutely not.
And you can have that one-on-one, peer-to-peer, interaction with your boys. Whereas once you're the manager, you're in the front office, everything changes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like every baseball player has their family, their own life away from the field, right? And so when things go wrong, they have to have somebody lean on. And it goes back to culture, and I'm probably going to say culture more than you say World Series, but that's okay too. Like, I truly believe in what culture represents and what it does to businesses, what it does to people, what it does to organizations, sports, any of it. I truly believe that, because there's a lot of things that go on outside of baseball that can affect your everyday life. Every day coming in, being in a bad mood, things like that. People need to vent. They have to be able to vent. Yeah. And if they can't come to the field and trust their teammates to vent to them without their teammates saying, I don't agree with you, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
How would you feel going to a clubhouse every single day like that? You're not going to get the best out of that player, or that human being for that matter. You're not going to get the best heart out of him. You're not going to get the best brain out of him, best thoughts out of him, or his actions, right? They crumble, or they just fall into this little, not depression, but they fall into a dark spot where they don't trust anything they can do because they're afraid of what the outcome might be or what they may be perceived as.
Right.
Because of something that went on away from the field. Well, baseball players don't judge. They can't judge, right? Because you're stuck in that locker room with them. Right. So you learn to like them or you learn to deal with them, one or the other. And then what good leadership does or what good culture does is, I see Jason over there. He's struggling. He's MFing everybody because he's pissed off. I'm going to go there and talk to him, and I know Jason's not going to fight me. Or if he does fight me, we're going to get up and I'm going to shake each other's hands, one or the other. But what I see is he's struggling with something. He's struggling with some kind of demon, or he's struggling with something off the field. I'm going to talk to him, and then we can nip in the bud. We can go from there. We can talk about it, be real, be humans, and be men, and then move forward. Because that's what's lacking nowadays. Nobody talks. Nobody wants to be a man and say manly things because they're afraid of what's going to happen to them.
Right.
And that doesn't happen in a major league clubhouse. Not in all the years I've been playing.
Yeah.
If you have a problem with somebody, you go talk to them and you deal with it. Period.
Yeah.
Done.
God, what a crazy concept to be able to just speak freely to people and realize that, hey, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm just trying to be honest with you.
Right. That's what I would want for somebody to do to me.
Absolutely. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about all right. And you say as much as you want to or can or whatever. I mean, I know you can say whatever the hell you want, but I don't want to drag up anything. Let's just start here. So basically, I told Jimlin after you and I were talking the other day, I was like, the thing about hanging out with Josh, he's a freaking pitcher, okay? You're not an NFL linebacker, but still you're like a cyborg. I mean, dude, you're like in peak physical condition. You're just different. I mean, there's something about a professional athlete. Your body is the greatest weapon you have against an opposing team, right? So it's just kind of amazing just being in the presence of a professional athlete that's been at it as long as you. So what's it going to be like? And I know you're a free agent right now, and I know that you got some big decisions to make because you got some kiddos, there to think about, and like we've talked about offline. I mean, I went through it as in business. What I know what traveling does, and good Lord, I never had anything like what you had to endure as a professional athlete. But what do you do to maintain some sense of level-headedness to keep yourself physically fit when there isn't a game for the next 30 days? I mean, like, what's the routine?
Or potentially 6 more months. Who knows?
Yeah. So what is the what is that like? Do you ever find yourself sitting around going, all right, I gotta go throw. I gotta go.
Oh God, Jason, idle mind for me is the worst. Yeah. My grandfather used to always tell me, idle mind is the devil's workshop, and I believe that. I truly believe that. Oh my good Lord. And I think the reason why that is because of how I was raised. For one, we didn't come from anything. My mom and dad worked their tails off nonstop to give me whatever I wanted, whatever I needed. Both actually, but I never watched my dad just go, you know what, I'm gonna take a week off, just take a week off and relax. It wasn't like that. It was like, what can I do to better my family? I got to do something. My mom the same way. I have to do something to provide for my family to make ends meet. And that's exactly how I was. My mom and dad made me get a job when I was 15 years old. Before then, I had to work with my dad, but I've always had to work for anything I've ever wanted. Had to work for it. That didn't change when sports happened. Sports probably more, actually. But it was, I sit around now, and when I get home from the season, I sit around for about 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks are probably the most miserable 2 weeks. My wife, Carly will tell you, after 2 weeks, I told Josh he needs to go. He needs to get back on the road because I'm just miserable. I'm getting out of the everyday mindset of competing to now I'm a dad. Yeah. And during this whole pandemic, when they had these, 2 + 2 = 20, your wife and family couldn't come see you because of COVID, but they could stay in the same hotel room with you, whatever all that was. I didn't see my family for 4 months. And don't get me wrong, that's not anything compared to what people have to go through on a daily basis. I get it, but I still miss my family, big time. And then I come home and I have to be a full-fledged dad, full-time dad for those 2 weeks. And I'm not a very good dad, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a very good dad in those 2 weeks. Not a very good husband. I'm on the same program as baseball, right? So I wake up, I'm like, okay, I got to go to the field at 1. No, I don't. What am I going to do? I sit around, I go out in the yard. Or I go outside and I go be by myself because I was by myself for so long, right? I go in my little independent space, by my solo space, and I just go do things. And I slowly get out of that and become a dad. I spend time with my kids, spend time with my wife. And my wife understands the whole transition phase, and she's great with it. She probably wants to wring my neck half the time, and I get that. I don't blame her for it.
And let's be real, Carly could kick both of our asses.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. She'd come here right now and kick both of our asses. She's in sweats.
Let's just be real about Carly.
And if she doesn't physical for us, she'll give us a good tongue lashing. There's no doubt about it. But so I will find myself now, I'll be sitting around, I'll go, work out, go throw, be sitting around, and I'll think to myself, I need to sit down and relax and go hang out with Ace. The girls are at school. Let's go sit down with Ace. Go play with Ace. But that goes by. He goes and takes a nap, and I'm sitting here. I'm going, okay, what do I need to do? I need to do something, and I need to be, either, writing down with the stuff that you told me to write down or things like that. But instead, I started. My mind drifts off to something else, and right now my mind's drifting off with the decisions you were just, implying was, do I retire? Do I keep playing? Do I take another job in the coaching role? There's multiple avenues I could go at this point, right? And I don't know any of them right now. I really, honestly, I don't. I told you this the other day. I think I got
Texas Titan Media.
That's going to happen regardless.
Yeah,
that's going to happen.
That's what I'm voting for.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think that's going to happen no matter what. But I think I told you this the other day when I mentioned going back to play. My girls flip. They don't flip. They're just like, no. And still to this day, if the girls are sleeping, I wake up early in the morning, I go do something. I go give them donuts. And they wake up and Dad's not there. They're like, that's Mom. Where's Dad? He went to get donuts. Is he coming back? Yeah, he's coming back. Love, he's coming back. He just went to get donuts. He's coming right back. Did he go to baseball? No, he hasn't gone to baseball yet. And that's the kind of thing that I check myself every morning. I make sure I'm doing the right things that it's no different than the clubhouse. This is my clubhouse now. So my actions are going to impact the other 4 in my family. Yeah. So my actions are actually, my thoughts are actually about the other 4. What's best for them. Is it best for them to have their dad around? Is it best for their dad to go play so that they can, have the things they want to have or, set them up for a little bit better in the future, whatever the case may be. But I'm not playing the game for money. I'm playing the game because I enjoy playing the game. I enjoy the game because I have passion for the game. Right. And if that passion turns into work again or turns into I'm miserable or I'm constantly missing my family, then that's whenever that's when these thoughts start creeping in my head of like, okay, it's time. Yeah. It's time for me to give it up. Time for me to turn the page, go do something else. And that right there is, and I told you this, yesterday? This last week, I went to like a little dark place because, for one, these negotiations that are going on, absolutely absurd. And two, the end for me is near for baseball. I get that. I completely get that. I've been doing this, playing baseball for 34 years of my life. To say baseball won't be a part of my life anymore, that's what is a gut wrencher for me.
Well, and I want to talk about that a minute, Josh, because this is one of the things that for some reason it had never occurred to me till probably because I got past it. I realized, so when you're 20, you think 37 is old. And then whenever you become around 37, like in the business world, whenever I was still in my 30s, guys that were my age and in their 50s would be like, they'd say, how old are you? In 37. They're like, oh, God, you're so young. I'd be like, no, I'm not. I'm not right. Young. But then when you get my age, I'm 47, and I look at a guy like you that's 37, dude, you're a baby, and you're at the twilight years of your career. I mean, how do you process, holy crap, I'm not even 40.
I'm not old, but I'm old in baseball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you're so freaking young. And also the crazy thing about your 30s that you must be dealing with. I mean, Tom Brady took it till he was 43. Mm-hmm. When you're in your 30s, you still feel physically like you can do the things you were in your 20s, and you're still doing them. Mm-hmm. You just know that the next time you go out there and you throw a pitch, your elbow could go like, hey, dude, you're 38 years old. Now you're 39 years old. Mm-hmm. So, I mean.
I make that analogy all the time. Like we talked about this the other day at the APEC, is I used to be able to roll out of bed and go play catch.
Yeah.
Now I feel like it takes me 15 minutes, 30, 45 minutes to go play catch.
Yeah.
Especially days I'm throwing a bullpen. And I still throw bullpens twice a week. Still to this day, throw one tomorrow. And I look forward to it. I absolutely look forward to throwing bullpens, especially because we have to face hitters on Tuesdays and Fridays now. But you're right. You're exactly right. Whenever you're 37 years old, even in your mid-30s and low 30s in baseball, you wake up and it's not the same when you're 20. Yeah. You're 22 years old. It's not the same. You don't wake up and you're like, boom, I can go play.
Right.
It's not like that anymore. You get up and you're like, my legs still there? They working, my toes moving, my hands, my elbow, up, shoulder. Okay. You have these checkpoints, right? You get out of bed, and it's not, you don't just hop out of bed anymore. You hop out, my foot's not asleep, my legs aren't asleep. All right, I'm good, I can get up. Like that's the kind of stuff that I struggle with more than anything else. And I think it's just more of an internal battle of, I don't want anybody to know I'm doing this because I don't want that 22-year-old to think that he has an edge on me, or that 19-year-old to think he has an edge on me, especially at the gym working out. I've always thought that way. But it is. Like Tom Brady, doing what Tom Brady did, to come from what Tom Brady came from, that is freaking absurd. That's awesome. Yeah. I love that, and I love the fact that his what is it, E60 or that thing on SportsCenter, the Man in the Arena? I love it's called Man in the Arena. That is so sick to me.
Yeah.
Because he is. Yeah. He is the epitome of what that Theodore Roosevelt quote is about, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
The critics are not the one that counts. It's so sick.
And that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to remind you of that as we work together after your career to go, hey, brother, don't get too hard on yourself. You were in the freaking arena for a long time, and not many people were even willing to step into it. And the bottom line is you're just going to step into a new arena.
That's right.
Everywhere you go, you're a fighter, and there's going to be an arena for you. And I think that's one thing that's cool for like listeners to hear is, I mean, dude, okay, the average individual out there that is working a job as a CPA, a lawyer, a doctor, a FedEx driver, whatever, they go, man, okay, you're 37 years old, you're financially secure, you got a beautiful family. That must be unbelievable. But I guess it's all relative, right?
Yes, right. I mean, it's like people, I see it all the time, Twitter warriors, keyboard warriors always talk about, but they're making millions of dollars. Well, yeah, but the Major League Baseball players, they do make millions of dollars. Some of them do, granted. not everybody's making $10 million a year.
Right.
Let's be real honest out there. Not everybody's making that money. But you build a lifestyle because of the gains that you make, the monetary gains as you play more and more and more. You build a different lifestyle, and you start going. Okay, I want that F-250. Right. I'm gonna go get it. Right. You know, I want my baby girl to have those shoes, or I want my wife to drive a nice car because I don't want to have to worry about her doing this, or I want to live in a nice house. I want to have space. I worked my ass off to get this. I want this now. Right. So I go and get it, or not me personally, but this is the mindset that some of these professional athletes have, and they build a lifestyle. Some of them build an unsustainable lifestyle, right? Unsustainable lifestyle, and that's on them. But once you get to that lifestyle that you create that's comfortable for you and your family, that's where you want to go, right? Well, that's not all like it's all relative in a sense of, you look from the outside and you say, man, that dude, he's 37 years old. If I retire, he's 37 years old and he's, played 12, 13 years in the big leagues and he gets to go home and do nothing. Bullshit. No way. Right. If you go home and you just do nothing, to me, that for one, you lose your edge. Two, you lose that longevity, what we're talking about. Like you doing those hangs the other day. Yeah. You went from 70 seconds to 140. That. I won't be able to go from 70 seconds to 71 seconds if I sit around and do nothing. Yeah. And I can't deal with that. I can't deal with laziness, and I can't deal with lazy people. I'm not sure if I can say I hate, but I do. I don't like lazy people that want to do absolutely nothing and just hope that somebody comes around and can save them from whatever they're dealing with and pick them up and say, hey, I'll carry you to where you want to get to. Right. I can't stand that. I would like to be the one to carry you, but I want you to put in some sweat equity as well. Do something to let me help you carry out of that. Like, it's the relevance, like you said, it's once you start doing something and you retire from it, like you said, I've been doing it for 34 years now, professionally, 16, 17 years, and I'm done. When I retire, I'm done. I will never, knowing that I will never go pitch in a game again on a major league stadium, feeling that adrenaline, that rush of doing that, I have to channel that adrenaline into something else. If I don't, I'm always going to be chasing something else, and that's whenever bad things could happen, in my opinion.
Yeah. So do you think you'll still be a fan of the game?
I do.
Watch?
Yes.
Yeah.
I probably won't miss the game, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think that's what a podcast could be, because let's be real honest. Announcers out there nowadays in baseball, they're atrocious. They're absolutely atrocious. And I'll say that. I'm employed by them. Right. They're atrocious. But if you do something like a Manning cast and you can actually talk freely about this and actually talk educated about this because you actually do understand what's going on, I think that would be a big hit for the fans. And fans can let you know right now if they think that would be beneficial to the game or not. But true baseball fans.
Let's do that. I thought it's funny you said that. I was going to say that. So anybody watching, anybody listening, Josh and I, and this is just me pushing my friend, my brother, into what I think he is made to do. I want you to start a podcast. I don't care if it's on or whatever. And so if you're listening, what would you like out of a veteran professional athlete? What could you learn from Josh? And I mean, one of the things we talked about is just the actual business of baseball. Now, and again, you can either say, that's a strike or a ball, whatever, or a hit pitch. Whatever, if I ask you this question, can you describe to this audience kind of what the hell is going on with the negotiations and what's happening?
I can describe it to a T. I can describe it to what I know is going on. Okay. And it's not greed. It's not one side trying to win. And to put it very vaguely, but I will tell you pretty good specifics of what is actually going on. The vagueness of it is players want teams to put their best foot forward at all times, period. They owe fans that. They owe Major League Baseball that. And they owe their players that. Let's be real honest. And I don't want to name any team names, but there's going to be multiple teams out there that have a lower payroll than Max Scherzer, 1 year deal. Lower payrolls than Max Scherzer's deal for 1 year. He signed a 3-year deal. But that to me is where baseball has messed up. And you put together a group of billionaires, 30 billionaires, and you give them a system, they start hiring Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, Ivy League guys that work in their front office. They will find loopholes to make themselves better, period. We all have that same, like, if you see something that you can take a shortcut and get more out of your player, Super 2. I'll talk about it. Super 2. If a guy has 2 years and 100 and something days, 22% of them qualify for a called Super 2, where you get to free agency a little bit quicker than, or not free agency, arbitration a little bit quicker than 3 years. So that, and usually it takes 3 years. So in my case, I got called up in July 27th of 2010. And so I only had roughly 80, 60 something days, whatever it was. So I didn't qualify for Super 2, and I was in the big leagues the next 2 years. So I had two years and 60 something days. Well, I wasn't in the cut of Super 2. I had to play a full another year. So now I'm at 3 and 63, 83, whatever the number was. We're 100 and something. So now I'm 4 seasons into a major league career, and I'm under control with the same minimum salary those all 4 years. Well, I should have been in arbitration, in my opinion, after 2 and 80 something days. I wasn't. So now what you do is you take that and you go, okay, now he's got to play 3 more years in arbitration. So now I've gotten 6 full years out of him and half or a little over half, 7 of 7th year. Well, free agency's in 6 years. So they figured out a way. They figured out a date. Chris Bryant, for instance, they figured out that May 8th or May 9th or something like that, they call the guy up and they say he had to work on his defense. The dude won Rookie of the Year. No, they didn't. No, he didn't. He was the best player on your team. And he would have been the best player on your team from the opening day. Period. But you didn't want to have to pay him in 3 years and lose him in 6. You wanted him to get the most out of that season that year and then have him for 6 more years after that. So there's a loophole in that system. And I get it. If I was an owner or a GM or whatever, I would probably do the same thing. Right. I'm getting more value out of that guy for the longevity I have him. That's all there is to it. Well, players want that in return on competitive balance tax or competitive balance threshold, whatever you want to call it. We're trying to set forth penalties for teams that are tanking. Teams want to, I say want to lose. Teams are losing at a historic rate per year to try to gain draft picks in the draft. Why are you allowing the worst team in baseball to get the number 1 pick? Because of competitive balance, right? You want them to get the best. So maybe baseball's not built like NFL, NBA. They're not built. They don't draft a guy and go boom, he's in the big leagues. Period. It doesn't happen.
Right.
There's not too many that happen that way. Right. They go through the progression.
Much longer process.
And not all first rounders pan out. I'm sorry, but they don't.
Yeah.
But there's a system in place, right? That we get this draft pick, we get these draft picks, and we're still going to be bad the next couple of years because we're not going to go out and sign people. We're going to have, 25 guys that are making league minimum and have a $20 million payroll and then get the first pick in the draft the next year. And then when we want to go win, we'll start paying the money. Well, then we'll do it for 2 or 3 years and we'll just go, strip them.
Yeah.
Well, for one, you're messing with people's livelihood. They're messing with their whole family. They're messing with everything when that comes to that. And I get it's a business. Players can adjust to that. And players aren't worried about that. But teams aren't either, right? And if you put as much value into how a human being reacts to certain things as you do the performance aspect of it or your business model of it, you might actually get something more out of your players. You might actually have guys wanting to come there even though you don't pay as much. Right? You might have a guy that wants to go play for the Cleveland Indians for $6 million a year as opposed to the $10 million he's getting from the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about that if that ever happens.
Right.
It goes back to that culture thing you're talking about.
Right. I would.
Yeah.
I would. I mean, what's $4 more million? Like, I get it. It's a lot of money. I'm not saying that by any means, but I'm not willing to go chase dollars for my happiness. I'm not.
Yeah.
I never will.
Yeah.
I would rather go somewhere that I feel loved. I feel like I love people, my teammates, and my organization so that I get the best out of them and they get the best out of me. If I go somewhere and I'm absolutely miserable, I'm probably not going to be picking up the 24 other guys and trying to bring them to a level that I think they're capable of or I think that team needs to get to try to go win. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to sit on my ass in front of my chair and do nothing and not speak a word to anybody until it's time to go play.
Right.
And that is a miserable, miserable way to live, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you also get on the flip side of, hey, Bob, I want to go play for that team, Team X, if they're not going to put the money in to go win.
Yeah.
And then once they go, okay, we're going to put the money together, I want you. Tough shit.
Right.
If players took that approach, it might change what's going on right now.
Yeah.
But some players don't care about that. They just want to go, I'm going to go get the top dollar.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the top dollar. And rightfully so, you've earned the right to get the top dollar. You've earned the right to go make yourself a healthy living and, go try to set your future generations up for years to come, and I get that, and I respect that. This is not how I'd rather have happiness than money. I can figure. I have hands, I have feet. They all work right. I can go make money if I need to.
Do you know that? And I've read this exact same study. I don't know when the last time it was updated, but. And I think it was, I don't know if it was a global, well, it couldn't have been a global. It had to have been at least industrialized nations. So let's just keep it, I know it was for sure in America. Do you realize that once someone makes, this is going to blow your mind, once someone makes $75,000 a year, that's the magic number. It has a median income of $75,000, that the difference in their happiness after making $75,999 is so small from there. Because the reason why is because that kind of like right now, of course, with inflation going on, that study might change. But it's basically, once you have your basic needs met, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, once you have your basic needs met, money plays such a small piece or part of your actual happiness. I think that's what you just said. It's like, it's like, well, you can go do more stuff, but buy more things. But I've never seen a hearse with a luggage rack.
Right. No, not to be morbid there, but I'd rather have fun with my kids, right? Yeah. I'd rather go do things or set something up out here and go play and enjoy my time with them.
Yeah.
Than I would enjoy the monetary aspects of what professional baseball could bring you. But that's basically it with the whole like lockout thing. And the owners chose to lock us out, by the way. This was not a mandatory thing by any means. This was not anything that was forced on them. They chose to do this because of negotiation tactics, and then they ended up calling somebody else to come in to try to help mediate those good faith negotiations. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
You didn't even talk to anybody for months.
Yeah.
You wanted to lock us out, so it became an issue to where, okay, we can get something done quicker if we do this. It's a negotiation tactic. Well, tactic my ass.
Yeah.
You didn't even do anything to try to use that tactic, to your advantage. It wasn't advantageous to you at all because, as a matter of fact, it probably hurt you worse because you didn't even talk to us during that time.
Right.
And that's just, in my opinion, there's no good faith in any of it right now. Not just the MLB owners, but in the players as well. I say players as well. Players are trying to do their best to try to get the integrity of baseball back to the top. And I say top, meaning it's not a boys and girls club anymore at the top with the owners. You should want to kick the shit out of, if I'm the Cleveland Indians, I should want to kick the shit out of the Kansas City Royals, even if Mr. Sherman's my best friend, the owner of the Royals. If I'm Mr. Dolan and Mr. Sherman, I don't want to go to dinner with you every single night. Like, you might be my friend every now and again, or we may go have a dinner and talk about something, but once we're away, I want to go sign that free agent over you because I want to show you I want to beat you.
Yeah.
But it's not like that anymore. It's the Boys and Girls Club now.
Yeah.
And that to me is it's kind of hurting the game a little bit from the financial standpoint of it or the integrity of the competition part of it. And that's where I think the game is kind of started slowly declining. Is, for one, you have a bunch of billionaires fighting with a bunch of millionaires. Not one fan out there is going to look at this in light and say, oh, I get it. I understand why they're doing that. Right? And MLB hires people in the media to go tweet this stuff out about, Max Scherzer showing up in a Porsche. Who cares?
Right.
The billionaire owners are showing up on private jets. Who cares what Max Scherzer is driving in?
Right.
Stop.
Right.
Like for one, and there was another one that I saw of somebody holding the phone up, but you can't do anything anymore without somebody videoing you. But Max Scherzer's talking to Tony Clark, and he's very animated when he's talking to him. It's because he has passion for what he's talking about right now, and they spin it into Max Scherzer's not very happy talking to Tony Clark. Like either he's mad at Tony Clark or either that or he's upset with MLB. Like no one knows, but they just spin it as he's upset talking to Tony Clark.
Yeah.
When it could just be him being very animated while he's talking to Tony Clark.
Right.
It could be absolutely nothing to it, but and for one, why the hell is he even being videoed outside of the hotel room wherever they were in Jupiter, Florida? Why the hell is it a reporter behind the tree doing what?
Well, that's one of the things that's so weird in this day and age. I mean, I know like just whenever we were in Colorado hanging out with you before the game, I know that everybody around is like, it's almost like, and we talked about this, how everybody's constantly got their phone. And like, I mean, people are probably wondering who I am just because I get to go down and talk to you. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, do we need to, it's like, it's got to be so weird. And I guess it's probably changed since you got in the league, right?
Oh, big time.
I mean,
big time. You could go do whatever you wanted to do and not have, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but like if you wanted to go have a beer at a bar.
What do I do with my water?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Oh, here, I got it.
You got it?
I got it. All right,
move all these chairs around. We got to hit them.
We rearranged furniture before we started.
And we had to.
But yeah, you used to be able to go and do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Not have to worry about somebody just filming the whole damn thing.
Right. Like if I wanted to go have a beer, I could go have a beer. Right. And then that was it. Right. And there wasn't anything other than going to have a beer, talking to my buddies, and going back home. Well, even whenever you just came and saw me in Colorado, you came down the field, like it seemed like everybody had their phone out, hoping something happened.
Right.
Hoping to catch me doing something wrong or Jason doing something wrong, so that we can try to become a social media sensation overnight.
Right.
And that, to me, like I don't know, man. That's just it's irritating and it's frustrating and it's I don't know, man. That to me is not. I don't know. It's sad. It's sad to me because people can't. Social media is all a facade.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
None of it is completely real. None of it is, in my opinion. It's just. If I spent all my time looking at Instagram or Twitter, looking at what other people are doing, what other people are saying, what other people are trying to accomplish, I would never accomplish what I'm trying to get because I look at that and I say, "What the hell? I'm not being able to do that. I can't do that. Why?"
So I got it. I'm reading a book right now. I'm going to get you a copy of this. It's awesome. It's called Hero on a Mission. It was given
called Stone Chiseler.
No, well the Stone Chiseler that was going to be a fantastic
so
book. That's a good one. But I'm actually plugging somebody else's book. And by the way, my guitar instructor Tim Woosley. Here's a shout out for him. Enjoy playing guitar. If you want to learn how to play guitar, go enjoyplayingguitar.com. He gave me the book Hero on a Mission by Don Miller. And one of the things I made note of this because I used to be this guy at times in my life whenever I was in a dark spot where I was like, before I started just creating and before Gimlin came along and my life was like, what? I mean, I'm hitting the middle age. The girls are nearly grown. What am I going to do? And he said a lot of the reason why people stay on social media so long is that they're watching other people live their perceived adventure instead of having an adventure of their own, and so you need to, and I would tell the listener and to the YouTube listener, go have an adventure. Because if you find your adventure, you're not going to give a damn about anybody else's adventure.
No, you probably want to get rid of your phone.
Yeah.
You want to get rid of it all.
Exactly. Just go have your adventure. And all right, so now let's talk about, before we wrap this up, I want just some fun stuff that only you could tell me that no one else I'll ever interview with. So, all right, you love competition. So over your entire career, dude, who was the hitter who was the best hitter that you were going to have to face, and kind of what were you thinking when they were coming out? And who was that one that was going to be like, all right, this dude I'm going to have to really.
Well, this isn't going to be a name that people okay, for one, Miguel Cabrera, hands down, best hitter I've ever faced.
Okay.
But
see, that's what's cool. Miguel Cabrera, he's
a freak, dude. He's an absolute freak. But he's one of the guys. Like if you watch him, if you're competing against Miguel Cabrera, for one, you love it. There's nothing else like it because he can take And I've watched him do it, take a 90-mile fastball down the way, hit it out the right field, take a bastard two-seamer coming in on his hands, take it out the left field, and then take a hand curveball, hit it to center, or a good curveball in the dirt, and he goes, you know what, I'm going to check swing and just flare one over to the right, just get my base hit. But I remember in Detroit, the first base dugout is our dugout, and it's a visiting dugout. And he'd be over there, and he'd or whistle at you. He's talking to me, or is he talking to the other Latins over here? What are they talking shit about me, or what are they doing right now? And he's laughing, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like, me? Yeah, you. His front hip cutter, you're going back, go my sinker, your curveball, cutter. I'm like, what? The exact sequences I've done to him. I'm going, what the? I looked at Michael Brent, I said, hey, does he have my shit? Is he doing what I'm throwing him? What? He's like, no, dude, he's getting in your head. I said, well, he's in it. Tell him to get out of it. And I was telling the Latin guy, I was like, hey, tell him in Spanish to get out of my head. Dude. I was like, tell him I'm going to hit him in the ribs. And he's like, oh, you hit me? Who cares? Like this. You throw slow. I was like, damn it. So at that point, I was like, you know, I'm just going to start making stuff up when I face him. And I remember I went up there, and he popped the ball up, and I got him out. And I was like, damn, I threw a good fastball up out there. I was like, no, it was right in the middle. It popped him up. And I remember Michael Brantley coming in and said, that's how you have to pitch him down the middle. Make him choose to hit the ball to right foot or left field. I said, here, dude. You know what? You go take the ball, and you go throw Miguel Cabrera down the middle, and you go see what happens. Over time, I guarantee he beats me. He goes, just trust me on that. He goes, hell, you haven't got him out in. You haven't got him out away. Why the hell not? Try down the middle. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. And then as soon as I get the ball and I get there, Miguel Cabrera's coming up to me on second, third. I'm like, I'm not throwing him a fastball down the middle. I'm not going to do it. So then I go to that bastard cutter down the way, and he goes, whack, and he hits it out the right center field for a double nail. I was like, son of a bitch. I should just do it down the middle and see what happened. But it was crazy because that's – people are going to laugh at me when I say this, but really, really good hitters that hit for average and for power like he does, he's going to go down as arguably the greatest hitter to ever walk the planet, in my opinion. It's not an opinion. You go ask people that have ever played against him. He's the best. So good. They say make them make a decision of where to hit the ball.
I like that.
I never thought of it like that at the time.
Yeah.
And so Michael Brantley is one of the better all-time greatest contact hitters that maybe has ever played the game. And in my opinion, maybe it's because he's one of my best friends in the entire world. He is the best baseball player inside and out I've ever seen, ever been a part of, ever been around. It's been a true honor and pleasure to be able to play with him for so long. But when he told me that, I said, so if I pitch you down the middle, he said, no, I ain't going to make that mistake. I'll hit that son of a bitch right back at your forehead. I was like, all right, I get that. I understand that because he wasn't trying to hit the long ball at times. Like Miguel Cabrera is trying to hit home runs and things like that. He's like, if you have a guy that will take his single up the middle, he's like, duck. Just throw it in the middle and duck. Hell, it's a single. Who cares, right? I'm like, all right, yeah, maybe I can take a single over a home run, but the whole mindset of trying to throw Miguel Cabrera or somebody like that down the middle to try to get them out was just a higher level of thinking that I wasn't ready. I wasn't really ready to try to go out there and not hypotheses, but try to go experiment with. You know? I wasn't ready for that just yet, especially throwing 88 miles an hour. Like, come on, who the hell? I challenged way too many people, but down the middle. But actually, the guy that was my biggest thorn in my side was probably a guy named Wilson Betterman. And this dude, if he had, or Salvador Perez catch for the Royals, and oddly enough, Wilson Betterman played for the Royals time too. If they had 100 at bats against me, I guarantee both of them have 80 hits apiece.
Really?
I bet you they're hitting 800.
Isn't that weird?
Oh my gosh, they murdered me. Absolutely murdered me. Tito used to make a joke. I think Salvador Perez hurt his knee or hurt his leg, and he wasn't in the lineup that day. He was I don't think he's on the DL or not yet, but I came in that probably fifth or sixth inning. We were up by one or maybe down by one, something like that, and he goes, I see Salvador. Terry Francona goes to me, he goes, hey man, I see Salvador Perez on crutches going to get his batting gloves on. I said, what are you talking about? He's like, well, you're at 80-some pitches. He thinks if this is your last inning going back out there, he's probably going to try to get in a bat against you. I said, he's on crutches. He goes, think that don't stop him from getting a home run off of you? I said, you're probably right, you know? It's just like little stuff like that, like in the clubhouse and dugout and stuff. But like it was well known when I went to Kansas City. It was just a running joke in the clubhouse. Wilson Betterman usually hits 7th, 8th, and 9th, somewhere around there. Salvador Perez time was hitting probably 5, 6. They were going to hit 1, 2 whenever I pitched. Most at bats possible. Just stack them on the top of the lineup and let them hit. And sure as hell, they hit a lot. But yeah, that was Wilson Betterman probably. He probably owns me him or Salvador Perez probably owned me the most in my career. But yes.
All right, so best stadium you ever played in that you walk out and you just go, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here.
Boston, Fenway Park.
Yeah.
I've got a Peppa Pig up there. 2016, we won the World Series. We won the division round against Boston. And mind you, that Boston team that year, best team I've ever seen in my life. And we rolled through them. But, by the way, I was the last person to get David Ortiz out also.
I didn't know that.
In his career.
Really?
Yeah. But.
Wow. I did not know that, man.
When my daughters came down the field, this is before Ace was born. When they came down the field, my oldest daughter at the time, had a Peppa the Pig stuffed animal. She drops it on Fenway. And my whole thought process was, oh shit, it's so dirty and crap, let's throw it away. I said, no, we're not. So I grabbed some more of that dirt and I put it all over Peppa the Pig. I rubbed it in. I still have that Peppa the Pig doll up there and it still got dirt stains on it and I'll never get rid of it because it's Fenway Park's dirt. I know it's not the same dirt that Ted Williams and Nomar and Babe Ruth and all these guys played on, but you know what? It is to me.
Absolutely.
It's an aura of it. I've signed that wall back in the Green Monster. The whole when you walk into it, it's just like it's a cathedral, man. It's like I have chill bumps when I'm thinking about it. Just the whole thing, walking up to the field, walking into it, seeing the old-timey concession stands. There's movies in that damn park, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And it's just Yet and Wrigley are the only originals left,
yes,
right?
Yep. Wrigley's awesome too. And if we would have won that World Series, I think Ace would have probably been named Wrigley. But the ivy. I'm actually going to try and plant that same ivy around my fence here, just try to make it look that wall because I think there's nothing like it. And people used to come there before BP and throw ashes on that ivy,
really,
of their loved ones because that's where they wanted to be buried and stuff. It's nuts, man. That stadium you wouldn't believe the amount of people that do that. It's incredible. Because that's their last wish. Like, hey, spread my ashes over the ivy at Wrigley.
All right, dude, this is how old I am. Do you realize I still remember when they put lights up at Wrigley?
No.
In my life, and I think I may be remembering that wrong, but I'm almost positive. I should look that up. Let me see here. When did
I'm just trying to think because I used to always think that like they didn't have lights because they
1988, bro.
88.
So you were like 4.
Yeah.
You were alive, but you don't remember what was going on. What were you, 4?
4.
Yeah, you're 4 years old. So, yeah, 88. I remember that. I remember still back in the day because, I grew up watching the Braves. I told you because the Rangers were so bad back then that all their games got blacked out. And because of the Superstation, if you lived out here, the only professional baseball you get to watch was the Braves. That's why
crazy.
Dale Murphy, number 3.
Hey, Dale is an awesome human being.
Hero. I can't believe we still got to make that happen. I just got to at least meet him or something. Just that's so awesome.
You hear that, Dale?
Yep. Dale Murphy, please. I mean, look, hold this.
He's one superstar that you will never disappoint, I promise you.
I know that the people that are listening to the regular podcast assistant, Dale, here it is, buddy. Here's what we did. We tapped. We did like 3 swats, and right there's the Dale Murphy. Dale Murphy, let me tell you something, brother. I know you were a catcher before you became a Golden Glove center fielder. I've got your USA card, dude, from when you played for the Olympics. I never accepted you in a Phillies uniform. Well, I accepted you, but I didn't like you in a Phillies uniform. I loved you in an Atlanta Braves uniform. And so it's just a class act, dude.
They always say don't never meet your heroes. He's one that he will not disappoint. One of the best human beings I've ever met in my entire life.
Wow.
Just an outstanding human being. Him and Bobby Cox both.
Well, all right, dude. So everybody, this is just a warm-up for the Josh Tomlin show. That's all this was. This was just you sharing stories about being a professional athlete, about just going down memory. And that's what I wanted to do. I mean, look, dude, I mean, like you said, 16, 17 years into that. And
some people never even get a chance, as Rob Manfred calls it, a piece of metal. Never even get a chance to compete for that. Isn't that wild?
No. And you've done it twice, and you got one.
We finally got one, yeah. That is what's nuts. Some of them never even get a chance to play in the World Series. Not play in the World Series, but play in the playoffs. It's
well,
bless her heart.
Well, I want more of these conversations. Like I said, I'm making your plans. Texas Titans Media. We're gonna make this thing happen.
We should.
So this is gonna be the studio. It'll look. We're gonna trick this out.
It'll be a lot different by the time we do this.
Yeah. So, well, brother, I love you.
I love you too, brother.
I'm so glad to have you back on the show. Hey, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, thank you so much for watching. Click like, subscribe. And if you got any questions for Josh or anything, put them in the comments. Get the algorithms going. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you. And like Josh mentioned, even though I did not prompt him to, always endeavor to improve, always and always. I'm Jason. He's Josh. We're out.
So sick.